Hi, everyone. Wow, that participant count is climbing. Welcome to the room, everyone. I'm going to give it a few seconds so that everyone can join before we really get going here on this amazing chat. So for those of you who haven't met me yet today, my name's Brian Underwood. I'm the beauty director of Oprah Magazine, and I'm also the director of beauty partnerships here at Glam Hive. And we have an exciting panel for you today, all about skin, flawless skin, in front of the camera and in real life. And when I tell you, we have four of the best makeup artists and talents in this industry, people who are known for creating gorgeous skin with makeup. We have the best of the best here, and I'm so excited to introduce you to them all. But before I do, I just want to go over a few quick housekeeping notes. So just know that at any time, if you have any questions for our panels, I do want to try to save some time at the end for questions from you all. So please leave them in the chat box, as well as if you're needing any technical support during the panel, please also leave that in the chat box so we can make sure that we get that all sorted out. As I mentioned, we're going to chat and riff for about a half hour, and then I'm hopeful that the last 15 minutes we can save for your questions. So put them in the chat at any time. Good to know that this session is going to be recorded and will be sent to every ticket holder afterwards, so you can watch it again, because I'm sure these four are going to say some incredible things that you're going to want to remember. And if you weren't able to catch it live and you're watching it pre-recorded, good for you. And then last but not least, please follow us on @Glam Hive and engage with us today using the event hashtag #GlamHiveLive. And a huge thanks to our presenting sponsor, Mary Kay. Mary Kay is obviously a global powerhouse in the beauty industry, founded by a female entrepreneur, which is another thing that we're celebrating here today at Glam Hive. So we're so happy to have Mary Kay as one of our sponsors. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our four incredible artists. First, I'd like to say hi to AJ Crimson, who is a celebrity makeup artist. You've seen his work on many of your favorite faces like Fergie and Brandy and Angela Bassett, basically the women that you already love. And he also has his own line, AJ Crimson Beauty. He's sort of like the king of inclusive makeup. So we're so happy to have you here, AJ. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Good, good, good. Moving on, we have Monica Blunder, a celebrity makeup artist whose work has graced the faces of Megan Fox and America Ferrara. She also has a newly launched, new as in December, beauty line, Monica Blunder Beauty, which really launched with this beautiful collection of complexion products. So she's the person to talk to today as well. Monica, thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Brian, for having me. I'm really excited to be on this panel.
Me too. We're so excited to have you. Namvo, Nam like ham, I learned, because I was mispronouncing it. If you're on social media, which I'm sure you all are, and you follow the biggest and best on social media, you know Nam's work. She is the glow queen. She has created an incredible platform featuring her work. And as you can tell from looking at her skin right now, she knows about getting skin to glow. She and I know each other because she's consulted for with some of the biggest brands in the industry, like Unilever, where I saw her last. And Nam, it's so, so, so nice to have you here. Thanks so much.
Hi, dumplings. Thank you for having me.
And last but certainly not least, we have celebrity and editorial makeup artist Todd Harris. So Todd's work has graced the pages and covers of magazines like People, Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, and of course, the Oprah Magazine. And his work has been featured on red carpets on the likes of Katie Holmes and Padma Lakshmi. Todd, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
Well, let's kick things off because I know we're going to have some questions in the chat and we have a lot to get to. AJ, I really want to sort of start with you because we're in this age of the 42 shades of foundation. A brand, cannot launch without 42 shades of foundation. And I think that, you know, the response I get from my readers as a beauty editor is that they're thrilled to have those options, but they're also sort of more confused than ever about finding the perfect shade match. So I want to ask you, as someone who's sort of mastered this, in your opinion, what's the right strategy? Is it just trial and error at the makeup counter?
You know what? I love that women have so many options. I love that women of color now have so many options because I believe that there was a lack. I do think that when you get into like 50 and 100 shades of foundation, you really have done her more of a disservice because the reality is that, you know, foundation was already the hardest purchase for her to make, whether it be online, which we're doing a lot of now, and now you're going to counter, and you're not necessarily being serviced by trained makeup artists who understand the undertones and just skin tone in general. So now you've given an already untrained person, you know, free reign over 100 shades,
Right.
and they're still getting it wrong. So for me, you know, I think, you know, the way that I love to try to match foundation really is I start from the center of the face and I work my way out. And I simply do that because, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I don't know about any of you, but like if I had like a long night out or, you know, I've just been up working late because we're all entrepreneurs, you know, sometimes underneath my eyes is where the tragedy seems to be settling in. So once I'm able to tackle this, everything else kind of can come together because most people don't really have like that terrible skin that they think they have. But most of those issues that you do have are underneath the eyes. So it's a lot of just concealing and really just brightening up the center of the face, and then you can work in everything else. So I do believe that on people of color, like you do need about 3 shades to really work the magic, to get a more skin-like finish. Because I think we also, as artists, we also should be educators in the sense of teaching women how to apply properly. Like, we're in the Instagram age where we're throwing 82 products on at one time to kind of get to a look. But the reality is that every time you touch your face, that constitutes as a look. So to take it back to foundation, start light, and then work your way up. But don't forget those key points. You have to have your concealer highlight. You're going to need to bring some warmth and dimension. And these things are happening whether you're using blush or whether you're using bronzer. And in my case, when I'm talking about AJ Crimson Beauty, we're doing it all in one formulation. So it's happening in foundation, which is going to give you the same formulation across the board, which will also give you more of a natural skin effect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and I mean, speaking of sort of hybrid formulas, Monica, that's kind of like your thing too. Blundercover is a sort of hybrid foundation concealer. What are your thoughts about shade matching in foundation and how, you know, the average woman can sort of make that work for her?
Sure. First of all, I couldn't agree more with what AJ just talked about in the new world of 50 shades. Me, even as a makeup artist, I can get confused just going into Sephora and overwhelmed. And I can't even imagine how I call her the everyday woman feels if she goes into a Sephora. Just, you know, I mean, I get anxiety just looking at it. And no one ever even touches the environmental thought about it too, because, you know, a lot of these shades are not being sold and they're just sitting on the counter. So me as a makeup artist, in my makeup kit, when I go to work, I don't have 50 shades and I mix and match. And for me, creating a Blundercover, you know, I started with 7 shades and my goal is by the end of the year to have 21 shades. But I want it to be, I want to create makeup for women to not feel that overwhelming feeling and sort of like having everything more curated and really educating the woman, the everyday woman to really, you know, like you said, AJ, I think it's important to have more than one foundation color. I know everyone wants to find that perfect shade. And I don't know if that perfect shade exists because we change, you know, like I change in the summer. my skin color looks completely different than it looks right now. I'm at
Yeah.
least a few shades darker. So I always recommend for everyone to have at least 2 or 3 shades, and then you can mix and match. I'm also not someone who likes to put one color all over the face because it kind of looks flat and unnatural. And I like to, like AJ said as well, it work at least with 3 shades to bring dimension and highlight and just brightening underneath the eyes. So yeah, I think it's just educating the woman to really apply and find the right formulation as well.
Yeah.
So Nam, when your work is it's so close up, it's so granular, you really see the skin, especially when I'm thinking of when I look at your Instagram and what you're doing there. Are there any foundation techniques that you like, that you use to sort of create that very seamless look?
Well, I'm classically a makeup artist, but as time has gone by, I'm even more obsessed with skin than I am makeup. And I always say beautiful makeup starts with beautiful skin. And I think that we have to be realistic. Not everybody can look like smooth and porcelain. I think that a lot of it is genetics, lifestyle, whatever. But for me, when I'm working on set and creating my like classic glow job, I actually spend probably half the time prepping the skin. And I'm like,
Yeah.
not only am I getting blood stimulating, I'm putting essences in, I'm layering, I'm using oils, but I'm absorbing it with different pads and different products. And it depends. If it's a red carpet, I'm not going to be the shiny as I am now. But if I'm like running around the streets, because I just love the look of healthy, moist skin. And there's a big difference between being dewy and oily. And I just think that for me personally, I rather look like I have bad skin than to run around town and look like I have a pancake on my face. It might be a different thing for like television or whatever, but I just think that everything starts with skin. And oftentimes in press and like my DMs, it's flooded. What's your favorite foundation? What's your favorite concealer? How do you create that look? And what I really tell people is invest a lot of that money into skincare, because the better your skin is, the better the makeup is going to project and slip on. So lately I find myself, telling people, obviously I have my top 10 favorite foundations. Monica and AJ, you'll have to send some to try. But I'm just a real big skincare whore, and I've noticed, and when I work with models, whoever, I'm always preaching. I'm like, do this, you needle, you do that. And you're going to it's going to be a long-term investment. So for me, and we're all makeup artists, skin is everything.
Yeah.
You can have the most beautiful smoky eyes, but if your skin is not in good condition, and like I said, we have to be realistic about one's skin potential. And my thing is, the reality is not everybody is going to have perfect skin, but everybody could have better skin. And I think it starts there.
That's great. And, you really, like you said, you as artists, really for your clients, are the arbiters of information when it comes to skincare. So I think you're right on. I think that's so important. So Todd, I wanted to kind of move on to another thing that I find that my readers are confused about, which is concealer, and the sort of concealer strategy, the concealer versus foundation strategy, how to find your right match there. And, some of your work has been on, older women who may need a little bit more strategic coverage. You did Nancy Pelosi for the cover of Rolling Stone. What's your sort of concealer philosophy?
Well, I think my concealer philosophy, especially with older women, tends to be lighter textures. I think that when you really apply like heavy drying concealers on their skin, you can see it so easily, especially on camera, and that's something you don't want. But like something like, in general, like Monica's new foundation. What I love about that is that the texture is so hydrating, but you can really blend it out and sort of smooth the skin with it. And then you can also use it like a concealer, and it's so hydrating. So I tend to stick with more hydrating products for older skin. And then the same, like everyone was saying, is that, you want to contour and sort of highlight the face, so that it's not flat. And I think with, you know, when women are older, we sort of they lose definition in their face. So when you use like a little bit of a lighter concealer sort of around the center of the face, like that triangle, right? And something a little bit darker around the outside, around the cheekbones, and blend in really beautifully, you can sort of bring that natural contour and highlight to the face that they had, you know, a few years before. So that's something I always do. I don't like anything too heavy, too drying, nothing matte. I would say matte is the one thing for an older skin that you really want to stay away from, unless we're in a studio and there's certain kind of lighting that we have. But in general, yeah, it's dewy and it's you know, like Nambo skin.
Yeah.
Dewy,
Well,
delicious.
dewy and delicious. Speaking of Nam, we have a question from the audience that I wanted to direct to you about concealing pores, large pores. Do you have any thoughts there? Is it sort of like what Todd was saying with, you know, sort of more moisturizing formulas, or is there a strategy that you use?
Okay, so this is a kind of a complicated question. I feel like everybody's worst, it's under the eye and pores, right? So when we're doing things for that, you know, for red carpet or things that photograph, sure, you could use like thicker primers or things with a little bit of slip so makeup doesn't seep into, I mean, technically what pores are, or holes. But what I really like to do is I kind of, I do the foundation, one layer of it, like almost so sheared. I think a mistake that a lot of women make is that you don't necessarily have to wear foundation every day. I'm talking about for the everyday woman. For something that reads on camera, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
And I go in and I kind of pinpoint. I always really, you know, like AJ said, it's like lighter in the center. And then I like kind of surround, I like skin to look like there's Jesus light coming from the center. You know, I want you to look like you have a light, but there's no spotlight there. So the truth is, if I'm being really honest, I could cover pores and dark circles and do it a little heavier so it looks perfect on camera. A tricky situation is for it to look good in real life. So it really depends what the situation is. There are some great, you know, blurring primers, like Ulla Hendrickson makes a great Banana Bright primer that's a little bit,
So good.
yeah, it is, right?
All
It's
the
a
Banana
little bit
Bright
more,
products are great.
yeah, it's like a little bit more buttery. But once again, guess what that question leads back to? If you take care of your skin and you clean out those pores, you're not going to have to really worry about the pores as much. So all roads lead back to you taking care of your skin.
So Monica, I want to ask you, I feel like there was a moment in time, and I feel like it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where color correcting concealers were everywhere. Sephora had activations with color correcting concealers. Every brand was doing them. What is your thought on these products? Are these products for the average consumer? Because I find if you use even that much too much, it's a total disaster.
I mean, honestly, I have, you know, color correcting in my makeup kit for, you know, if I go to work and someone has a bruise or some kind of like dark spots, obviously I use them. But I think for the everyday woman, it's just the kind of product I don't see really being used for, unless again you have some sort of bruise or you have something that you really need to cover. I think it's really important to understand your undertones. So an example, if you do suffer from darkness underneath your eyes, you know, then use a concealer that cancels that out. So depending on what skin color you are, use either a peach or some sort of red in your concealer that will cancel out your problem. But I don't know about having that for the everyday woman
in your arsenal. Yeah. So AJ, wanted to talk to you about darker complexions. I think there are a lot of makeup artists out there who, are emerging artists in the business who are really intimidated by darker skin, especially if they are Caucasian. And so I wanted to talk to you about what your advice would be, what your thoughts are about, makeup artists really learning the particulars of working on darkly complected clients.
Well, the first thing I would tell you is that if you feel that way, then you have to get an Agent Crimson Artist Kit.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That
Yeah,
looks
like
cool.
these are great. So the Agent Crimson Artist Kits are really fantastic. This is my personal one, but it has every shade you have. I mean, if you just look at it against my face, it's literally every shade in here that we can use in a multitude of ways. Like I've used 7 and 8 in my brows. I've used a mixture of 4.5 and 6. On the skin to give it some warmth and glow and highlight. So you literally can get everything done in this
Yeah.
one palette. And I would say start there. If you're a makeup artist and you don't have an Agent Crimson Artist Kit in your kit, then I don't know if you're a real makeup artist. Except for these.
Oh,
Oh,
it's over.
Only because all the best makeup artists have been using them for the last 7 years. So it's exciting to see that. And I say that jovially, but at the same time, I think that you don't have. I think that's the beauty of the line. Like I love like what Monica was saying, like how she's gonna elevate her brand. You know, she started with 7, I started with 8, and then she's moving on to about 20 shades. I have 18 shades in my kit, and that's including a concealer and corrector palette. Which, to be honest with you, the most two that I use are the 2 peaches, a darker peach and a lighter peach. And I really can get everything done out of that. So as a makeup artist, if you don't know deeper skin tones, then you absolutely have to empower yourself with the product that is going to give you the best leg up in moving forward, so that you don't have to feel intimidated. Because I think working on rich, deep skin and just brown skin in general can be one of the most fascinating things in makeup, because you get to play and there's so much more dimension. There's like little nuances to it. So I would say start there, and then I guess, and you have to have it, because I think as a makeup artist growing, like I started in fashion, I was doing mostly Caucasian girls when I started. So there was no excuse for me not to be able to do that.
Right.
And I got all the Black girls.
Yeah, right.
So
I have to say really quickly too that I started, in the 90s as a makeup artist, 1995. So I've been around quite some time. And I remember back then, like there was no options for darker skin. And it's, like just looking at it, how it's evolved, and now the choices, and it's so beautiful to see that like finally there's a recognition, and
there are options.
Every brand is really having options, and I find that amazing. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Todd, I wanted to stay on this topic with you a little bit. You've done clients of all different skin tones. And we've talked about the nuances that AJ just mentioned. What do you identify as the nuances, and how do you as an artist account for them?
Well, I will say one thing is, I got turned on to AJ's products at the makeup show, and I met him in person there, and I found that the way he designs his colors, it really did change the way that I viewed doing women of color, just because the shade ranges are so good, and they really do match up, where you can, he did make these, and I don't know if he makes them anymore, but it was like these palettes with 2 colors on either side, and it sort of showed you about building a face where women of color generally have a lighter center and a darker darker skin around the outside and around here in their mouth. And you have to be able to sort of work those nuances, because if you're just putting one color on a woman of color, it's going to look ashy at top. It's not going to blend completely. And, they tend to have, a darker pigmentation around the mouth as well. So these are all things that you have to put into account. And for me, it's the same thing. You really have to sort of build that dimension on the face. And I've been using his products to do that. That's the thing that's really been helpful to me, because the undertones are so spot on. You have to really understand. It's not, sometimes in the industry, for women of color, the foundations can really just run too red. And then it looks fine the first 5 minutes, and then you sort of get out and you have like a red face and, sort of like an olive neck. And that's something really important that I've seen change over the years, is that they've actually started to get those undertones for women of color correct.
Yeah. So we're getting to some audience questions, and I could ask you all questions for 100 years, but I really want to get to these audience questions because that's why they're here. So Mindy asked a question that I'll direct toward you, Nam, although I think I know what your answer is already going to be because we've already talked about it. But Mindy asks, do any of the artists have recommendations for making the skin look smoother when a client has a lot of texture in their skin? And I know you and I just talked about pores, Nam. So any different advice, or like you said, does it really just come back to
No, I mean, obviously it takes time to get your skin in good condition. So I think with textured skin is it really depends on everybody, but I feel like a lot of people that, you know, in their younger years, if they've suffered with acne, it's usually in the cheek, right? So I find that porous skin and like really like deep acne scars or textured skin, oftentimes you have to really play with formulas because if anything, it might look cute for like 15 minutes and then it starts to separate and be really not cute. So what some of the formulas that I like to use, for example, like I think like the NARS soft matte, that's really, really good for textured skin because it does cover, but it's not shiny. I mean, and let's be honest, if you have really textured, you know, your skin isn't in the bad condition, it's not dewy, probably isn't the way to go. And like, I'm not going to put a disco ball highlighter on you because it's going to sit in unflattering areas. So what I like to do is still sheer at the bottom and then really pinpoint where you need it. And I think the mistake that a lot of women make with textured skin is they're like, oh, my skin's bad, let me just drywall my face. And I don't really think drywall is the way to go. They're like, you know. So I think that you go sheer and natural, and then you go in and you really just treat those target areas. And another thing that I really love, I feel like the last couple of years, there's been beautiful fine powders like the Givenchy, even like the By Terry new hyaluronic powder is beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and it photographs well, and it literally does look like a soft focus filter. I know, like back in the heyday when I had my little acne phase, it was like MAC Studio Fix, and I would like pile it on. And it was like a 12-step program for me to get off MAC Studio Fix because, you know, and as I, you know, matured with age, back in the heyday, I did like pancake makeup, but I just think there's nothing as beautiful as skin that looks like skin, you know? And like I said, I rather look like I've got a couple of pores and a couple of pimples than to walk around like I dried wall a pancake on my face.
Right.
Sometimes the pancake, we have to admit, makeup artists.
You have to do.
It looks good in pictures, though. Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it does. But in reality, if you're just like a real everyday person, it's another situation.
AJ, you look like you have something that you want to add.
So one of the things that I do with when I encounter someone that has textured skin or heavy, I guess like larger pores, is I take a lighter shade of foundation, and it may seem like extremely light. And I'll just show you just from this, so like just so you can, for reference on a skin tone, it may not necessarily be the one. I was in another live, so I had something else on there, my matte liquid lip. But I take like a light color that will diffuse the skin, almost like brightening or highlighting that skin, or pushing the light back out, you know, pushing the light back out of the face, as opposed to allowing the light to settle into those little crevices where we're going to see it more, and then we build our skin over the top. Again, it's a stain of color, so it's not coverage that we're looking for in that moment. I'm literally just looking to diffuse or pull a veil down of brightness over the skin that is going to draw our attention away from it, away from the imperfection or the thing that's happening. Find that you can do that in your everyday life as well as on camera. Like it works.
So it's a little makeup bait and switch, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Little catfishing.
Right.
So we have another audience question from Carrie. So I'll direct this toward you, Monica. For the artists, any favorite mascaras?
Ooh, you know, that's probably the number one question I get as a makeup artist. What is your favorite mascara? Like that's literally the question of all times. And I think it's such a personal thing a mascara is because I think it's all about the wand. It's all about the brush. And we all have different eye shapes. Like what I've noticed is an example, like my daughter, my husband is Asian, so my daughter is half Asian. So her eyes are smaller. So she benefits from like a really thinner brush, you know? I'm someone, I like a thick, clunky, you know, brush. So it really depends on that. And I think the formulation also is so important. Like, are you looking for a clean mascara? I think the clean mascaras have come such a long way these days, and there's so many good ones out there now. One of my favorites is Westman Atelier. Her mascara, I think, is so well done.
Gucci's products are beautiful.
They really
I love her product.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Right.
it's like nice to just hold the compact. It feels expensive.
It's so true.
And actually another mascara I personally really, really love, and I know that not everyone loves this mascara, but it's actually the Glossier mascara. And some people find it to be very light, but I love the curl it gives you. And it's a really good mascara for the bottom lashes because it does not transfer. And what I hate is when you use a mascara on the bottom lashes and then it just ends up on your skin. So that is really literally one of my absolute favorite. And it's also a good one to, I like to mix and match mascaras sometimes for different reasons, and I like to layer them. So
right.
Yeah.
Todd, we have another audience question that I'll direct to you from Mindy. What are your best product recommendations for oil control? Good one.
Ooh. For oil control, I mean, I think it also starts with like the right primer. Makeup Forever makes an amazing oil control primer. You know, I do men's grooming as well, and I find that for that, especially like, you know, for your T-zone and your forehead, that's amazing. It also has a blurring effect too. So if you do have larger pores, it does sort of seem to soften those pores as well. And then, you know, I'm not a big fan of matte foundations. I think that you have to find like a foundation that is sort of that combo in between. I do love the Chanel Aqua Lumiere does sort of, it's like a hybrid sort of serum foundation that I find works really well on oily skin.
Great. Nam, we were just talking about this, sort of like you were talking about the difference between sort of greasy and dewy. So how do you achieve that balance? What's the balance between just this beautiful dewy look and like the sort of oily T-zone look?
Well, I think that, like, you know, people, that's a question that I get asked. Dewy looks like your skin just had a drink of water. It looks moist, it looks healthy, it looks vibrant. Greasy looks like you could fry an egg on your face on a hot day. It's literally grease coming out of your skin. So there's a difference.
Guilty as charged.
But you know what? Embrace your oil. When I was younger, I was like, yeah, I'm so greasy. Now I'm like, where are the oils? I wish I was more oily. So I think that, I mean, it's 2021. There are such beautiful formulations at all price points. And I love the artistry of makeup. You know, as makeup artist, sometimes I'm like, I do a little cream here, I do a little shimmer here, I shadow here, I sculpt here. And it's just, I think makeup is so fun. It's so expressive. And the best part about it is that you can wash it off, you know?
Yeah.
Or hair color.
It's not so deep. We can all
it's not that it's not exactly, it's not so deep. You can wash it off. But I just, you know, I think all this over the top Instagram makeup, it's trendy and it's going to come and go. But I will say it again, invest in your face. It's the first thing people look at when they see you. Your skin will carry you to the day you're in your coffin. And there are so many great lasers, options, cosmetics from like high to low. There's just so much amazing product out there in the world. And, you know, I'm such a product whore. Like, and I love it. You know, I'm sure we get so many PR packages, but till this day, like right before I actually got on, I opened a package from NARS and I was like, and I remind myself, I'm like, I must be in the right business.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and as an editor, every single day we're bombarded with products.
Yeah.
And I realize I really must be in the right business because I still get excited.
Yeah.
getting
And
better.
That is it, yeah.
They
My
help me.
apartment has turned into its very own little FedEx processing center
Absolutely.
as of late. AJ, I want to ask you, it's a very appropriate question for the time we're in right now. You know, hopefully things are going to get better. Hopefully we're going to turn a corner with the pandemic. But I think for the time being, we're going to be gathering like this for a little while longer in front of Zooms, in front of Google Team Meets, all of those things. Do you have any thoughts for the professional woman, you know, any woman who wants to just sort of up their game on their next Zoom call? Any strategies?
Okay, so I have an awesome collection that I put out in September called Office Politics.
How appropriate.
Office Politics is it's actually it's a group of 5 lip glosses, but you can use them multifunction. So you have them for your lip. You can put a little dew on the cheek. You can use them on the eyelid. And I think it's all those little pops of shine. Like even like with Nam's face, like with looking at her face, like she's giving you that pop, you know, that you need to feel alive and awake. And I think it's just finding those points. So having a little touch of something on the lip, which could be really great, whether that's a pop of color, and maybe translating a little bit of that into the cheek, you know, and putting a little mascara on. To answer the mascara question earlier, one of my favorite mascaras is Smashbox Exposure Lash, because it really is about that brush. It's about that thick, heavy brush that I love. But I think mascara, a little blush, and a little lip, and you know, dusting a touch of foundation or foundation in your moisturizer to just kind of even everything out could be great.
Great. Monica, when I look at you right now, it's like the background is on point, the skin is on point, the hair is on point. You clearly have some experience looking good in a Zoom sort of setup. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I wanted to bring my husband's art in the background because I'm the biggest fan.
Makes sense.
I think it's really important to have good lighting. I think a lot of people forget, and it's so easy. So like I have a ring light right here right now, and you can literally order them on Amazon. Like I've seen them for $50. And I've been on a lot of Zooms the last, you know, half a year, and it always amazes me when I see some people, their background, there's like laundry in the background. And I'm like, but just find an area. I mean, you don't need to see your whole house, but just find a nice little spot where, you know, it is appropriate. And then I think lighting is really important. Get yourself a good light on Amazon. It's $50. And then I think in terms of makeup, like I think, you know, definitely the camera, you know, washes you out. So you can put a little bit more makeup on and, you know, focus maybe on your brows and, you know, a little bit of definition, and use your blender cover right here.
Use your blender cover, everyone. So Nam, we have another question from the audience that I'd love to bounce to you from Kim. What are the best product and way to properly remove makeup? Her 16-year-old daughter is sitting next to her right now and is asking that question.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that because I happen to have just a bottle right here. Bioderma. It's
the
cheap,
best micellar water.
right? It's so cheap and cheerful. Like, I don't know, how much do you think this thing is?
I feel like on Amazon it's under $20, right?
Okay, another thing I'm going to say is I think people underestimate really a good cleansing ritual. So right now, like I said, you know, I'm a product tour. I'm using the Elemis Rose Balm. Then after that, I use, like, I love the Peach and Lily gel cleanser. I love the IS Clinical gel cleanser. And I think that people, okay, I want you to think about this. Swipe a little lipstick or concealer here. Go wash your hands. Look at how much effort you actually have to put to fully remove it. Yeah. So and an esthetician I had always had trouble of having clogged pores on my nose before. And an esthetician once told me, she's like, Nam, how much time do you spend massaging your nose when you wash off your makeup? And I was like, you're right, because when I'm typically washing my face, I go like that, and then I move on with my life. But now I really get in there, I massage it, because I think that people don't really realize that makeup and gunk and whatever free radicals, all the things that we collect throughout the day, it's actually just not this. Yeah. It's really getting in there and removing it. So I think that this is a winner chicken dinner. It's cheap and cheerful. It works. It does the job. There's a lot of other brands that have, you know, fancier bells and whistles and peptides in their micellar water. If you're into that, you have more money, do that. I think another great cheap and cheerful pick is the Neutrogena eye makeup remover, like that classic blue one.
Yeah.
That's really good as well. But I would really, really, you know, plus I grew up, you know, learning a lot about Asian beauty. You should do an oil cleanser at night. Do an oil cleanser, then do like a gel cleanser. Especially if you wear SPF, you really want to get in there and take all of that off.
Gotcha.
But I think that this is a classic winner,
And
Bioderma.
just for everyone's information, since I am the journalist in the room, I decided to do my research, and Nam and I were both correct. It is $14.99 on Target. So how
And it
can you
lasts
possibly
longer.
beat that?
Yeah.
And I used to not be able to get Bioderma. I'm European, so I used to, when I would go home, visit my family, I would buy Bioderma and bring it back here. But now, because of Amazon, you can like get it everywhere. So it's a staple in every makeup artist.
Yeah.
Okay, so unfortunately, we don't have that much time left, which is so sad because I could talk to you and I'm sure everyone here could listen to you all forever. So I'm going to power through a last couple questions. Todd, I know you're also a skincare junkie.
Yes.
We have a question from Patricia. What do you suggest for lines and wrinkles on the neck? That's a good question. Do you think you need a neck cream, or do you think it's okay to just kind of make sure you get your neck when you're doing your skincare?
Well, I think that the idea of neck cream, sounds great, but it's really just, an idea to make you buy something else that you don't need.
Yeah.
So I think that anything you're going to put on your face, you can bring down to your neck and your chest, and that's something you should always do. Yeah. And as far as like tightening your neck or, taking care of wrinkles on your neck, other than obviously things that are invasive like lasers or certain treatments or acid treatments, really just keeping it hydrated and using like a serum. I love a serum. It's by this brand called Soon, and it's called the Mermaid Collagen Serum. And what I love about it, it's just really, really plumping, and it does sort of have that tightening effect on the skin. So, I try to do those things. Like if someone does have some, like a little bit of a looser neck or a wrinkled neck, to really let those things sink into the skin and really plump the skin. So I think that's something I would always do, is really hydrate that area to pump it up.
Yeah, look, I think if you need to buy a neck cream to remember to put a cream on your neck, then go ahead and buy it. But I think otherwise, if you just put everything that you're already putting on your face down here, you should be fine. AJ, since we've gotten into this skincare conversation, I'm dying to know, what are some of your favorite brands?
So I have it near me, B3. So I'm loving B3. I use B3 lily oil, like on my face almost all the time, day and night, 3 times a day. I'll put it on. I also love Sunday Riley water cream. Like I take that. That is with me everywhere I go, and I'm moisturizing and massaging it into my skin. I almost feel like my skin is not alive and awake if that's not on it. And then I love Natura Bissé Diamond Cream. Like I've been using that for the last 15 years, and I make, it's for me, and then I kind of give some to my clients sometimes.
That's just like a very special kind of product.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone, this 45 minutes went by so darn fast.
So fast.
Because you all are the best, and I can't thank all 4 of you enough for spending some time with us today. Your tips were incredible. We're already getting so many comments in the chat about how great it was. Thank you so much to you all. Really, truly. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, and to everyone who joined the room, thank you so much for swinging by. It was great to see you all, and everyone enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye everyone.
Bye.